Welcome again to Lakeshore Focus, a weekly show highlighting the key issues, important events, and interesting people in our region. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick. It's no secret that beauty pageants have a certain stigma around them. In the past, they have been criticized for focusing too much on appearance and physical beauty instead of the noteworthy accomplishments of the competitors. Today, we're learning how pageantry has changed and how the young women prepare to compete. From Katelyn Marak, who is Miss Great Lakes 2015, and Bailey Perez, who is Miss Great Lakes Outstanding Teen 2015. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
You guys look so cool in your outfits. I mean, nobody comes to the show like this.
Oh, well, thank you.
So I'm glad you kind of do it. The crowns won't fall off?
No, we got them pinned in.
Pinned in.
They can survive anything. Got the hardware.
Oh, so if the earthquake comes, the tornado, anything, we're good.
They are good.
All right. Awesome. So my first question to both of you, because I think people kind of look at people like you who are in these pageants and go, so who is this person? So if I kind of stripped away all of the pageantry and all your regalia and your crowns and everything, what am I left with? Who are you? Okay, who are you, Katelyn? So tell me who you are.
I am a farm girl born and raised. Grew up in Couts, Indiana, and then my senior year of high school, I moved to Valparaiso, graduated from Valpo High School. Now I attend Valparaiso University. I am studying to hopefully one day become a juvenile court justice. I'm heavily involved at school in the College Mentors for Kids program, 10-year 4-H'er, pastorally heavily involved in the fair program as well, everything there from Fair Queen all the way up to now being the 4-H Music Project Superintendent. I love being involved in my community. I sit on the Town and Gown Board Community for Valparaiso, so anything I can get my hands into. I've started my own organization called Katie's Creations. It's in its 7th year to help fund charitable organizations and campaigns here in the local area. So I just love to get my feet wet and be involved in everything.
Boy, there is much more to you than the crown and the sash, I would say.
Oh my goodness.
So you were in 4-H for 10 years.
I
so
was.
What did you raise or do? What was your activity?
The main thing that I did was the sewing project.
Okay.
So I coveted my grandma's sewing machine when I was a little girl and started sewing. I was able to go down, they call it the Sweet 16, top finalist for the Indiana State Fair.
So you weren't raising hogs or cows or anything, but you were doing
No,
that?
Unfortunately. I actually fell in love with the draft horses that were there, and by the time I kind of had set up and had made those connections and smoothed to the point I was like, I want to show the animals, I want to do those things. It was getting towards the end of that 10-year process, but I love it. It'd be so much fun to be able to go back if I could in a new life and be able to actually do those things.
So you're around it a lot.
Yeah.
So how about you, Bailey?
Well, I'm a regular 17-year-old girl. I live in Cherville, Indiana. I attend Lake Central High School as a senior this upcoming year. I run the track team. I am a dancer at Donna Brum Dancers in Cherville. And I just like to have fun with my family, be a normal girl, go out, have fun. People usually see this part where I'm all dressed up, pretty, but there's a part behind. I like hunting, I like fishing, I like getting down and dirty. I'm not your average pageant queen. I'm kind of like an overall girl who likes to do all different kinds of things. And with that, I have my own bully prevention program that I created. So with that, I talk to local teens and our youth in our society about being a non-bully and about really pushing that to not let anybody else be bullied around them.
Wow, so I'm trying to imagine you holding a gun. So this is the part, I'm trying to figure this out for both of you. And I asked that because I really wanted people to see that there was a lot more to you than just, if they tuned into the show, I could see some of our viewers going, who in the world does he have on public television with crowns and their sashes on? So, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, about the pageantry. So people look at these things and they still, I know, call them beauty contests, right? So has that really changed, and what has changed about it?
I think that people need to change, the way that they just think and define the word beauty to begin with, especially when you call someone or say something is beautiful. I think that's not necessarily something that just attributed to outward characteristics, but it's also inward, and it comes from that confidence and that poise that you have, and knowing yourself and carrying your own sense of personal style and standing up for what you believe in and having a sense of values. To me, that's what creates a beautiful person. But I think that the pageant systems now are totally doing a 180. and really looking for those girls who are well-rounded individuals. With the Miss America program, what really defines us and makes us different, that even in the teen program as well as the Miss program, they're looking for someone who has a personal platform. So a cause or something that you're advocating for out in your community, day and night, crown or not, as well as wanting a talent, whether you sing, dance, play an instrument, or have something crazy. I know there's been a jump roper in the past who's gotten up there. People ice skating, roller skating, having a fun talent, something that makes you unique and can define you. As well as also there's an academic achievement portion to this. So you turn in a transcript. They want to know your grades. They want to know how you're trying to really educate yourself and become the best individual and well-rounded woman that you can be.
So I want to shift to you, Bailey, and ask, I know you've got some academic aspirations, so they're going to ask you at the pageant, right? So where are you headed academically?
So this upcoming school year, I will be a senior at Lake Central. And with that, I think that colleges are coming closer and closer and closer. So as being a senior, you have to look at what you want to do later on in life. A lot of kids my age don't really necessarily know what you want to do, but for me, I've known since I was a child. I've always had a fascination with teeth. I've always said I wanted to be a dentist, some form of dentistry. So my parents kind of were like, okay, if you want to be a dentist, why don't you just be an oral surgeon? So I started looking into more of what oral surgery was about, and I became completely in love with it. I work with the Smile Train, which is an organization for cleft lips and palates, so that does incorporate oral surgeons. So with me being with that organization, I can also become an oral surgeon later in life and help them. So help the organization that I've been working with for so long.
Wow. So have you always had good teeth yourself?
Yes, I've never had braces. Every time I go to the dentist, they have to ask me and they have to check my records, and it's crazy. But I was one of those lucky and very blessed people with amazing teeth.
Wow, awesome. So let me ask you guys, you're in these competitions, so to let people, I guess, get a feel for this kind of thing, how nerve-wracking is it to be in these things? I mean, are you really pretty nervous when you're doing them?
I am.
I know.
Let's be real.
Is it more nervous than being on TV?
I think very comparable.
Okay.
Very, very comparable.
So what's the most difficult part of it in terms of when you're like the biggest tension, or when you're like, oh my gosh, I am so nervous right this moment?
I think when you first get there, you don't really know everybody officially yet. So when you get there, you're kind of anxious to meet all the girls that are going to be there. You kind of want to know a little bit about them, because honestly, through these programs, you make friends that you're going to have for a lifetime. I know girls from way back when that I still talk to now. So you're just anxious to meet everybody, and it's kind of nerve-wracking because you really want to leave a good impression and really let them know who you are, and you want to get to know who they are. And I think once you get to your first stage of competition, that's a little bit nerve-wracking, but I feel the adrenaline rush helps us all to get up there and do what we really have to do.
So for you, it's kind of walking through the door and the starting point. How about for you?
I think it's nerve-wracking the week while you're there. We each are going to be there for an entire week competing and being with the contestants, and all of those things, I definitely agree. But for me, it's always right in the heart of the competition, because that is when everything is taking place. Because immediately afterwards, there's that rush and that feeling and that a sense of accomplishment, that you did the best that you could do, that you put it all out there on the floor, that you've worked so hard for how many months. Some of these girls have received their local titles last August, perhaps last July. So we are constantly working throughout the entire year. So when you finally get there, it's the heat of the moment of competition. That's when I get all those butterflies and everything starts rushing. But at the end, you can sit back and say, wow, look at what I did. Look at what I accomplished.
You can take a breath at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
So
that's
it's
a good
everything
spot.
leading up to that.
So before the breath part, so have there been a moment where you really messed up and you're, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that? Kind of like your most embarrassing moment here? Have you each had one of those?
I've been in that
I can see
position
Bailey's already like,
I've been in that position a few times, but all you can do is
so
even
what
if
happened, first of all? Can you
I
say?
am a dancer, so
Okay.
talent is always my biggest adrenaline rush. I'm always focused on hitting my turns, doing what I have to do, and sometimes I don't necessarily hit the turn that I have to. And when I'm on stage in that moment, when you don't hit what you have to hit, you cannot let it show on your face, and that is the hardest thing to do as a dancer. You have to take a deep breath and just keep going and let them know, because they don't necessarily know what your routine is. You have to make it seem like I didn't make a mistake, I'm giving 110%. But when you get off the stage, you know in your heart what you were supposed to do. So it's kind of difficult at the same time, but you kind of leave just...
So was the moment that you made one of those dance mistakes and it showed in your face, or not?
I'm one of those people who, when I practice and I mess up, it shows in my face, but when I'm on stage, I'm so into my emotion, I'm so into my dance, because in every one of my dances, it has a meaning to it. So with that meaning, I just keep portraying my emotions. So I feel like I usually do pretty good with.
But even though you probably kept the good face, inside you're like, oh my gosh, I really messed it up.
But you always have to remember that they don't know your routine.
Right.
You do. So even if you have to compromise, just make it look good.
So you're telling yourself all that at the same time. Keep a good face. Don't let it bother you. They probably didn't notice anyway. And keep
just
dancing.
keep
And
going.
what's my next step, right?
Yep. Just
all at the same time.
Make the next step better.
That takes a lot to do that. How about you?
Oh, embarrassing.
Oh, this is going to be good. I can tell. I can tell.
So in 2010, I fortunately was crowned Miss Indiana's Outstanding Teen. So I represented our state.
The same thing that here,
I held a local
different.
title,
Okay.
yes, just as Bailey did, and competed, and happened to have won. And my very first appearance, they have sponsors. So a sponsor sponsored me a beautiful gown to wear on stage. Very first appearance, they invited me out on stage. I was going to be able to introduce myself and just kind of talk about the whirlwind of the past week, having just been crowned. And as I was walking off stage, the gown was a little bit too long. Face plant, right on the stage.
Was it on camera?
Yes. But the worst part was when I stood up, the MC asked, they go, "Are you okay?" And all I could say while walking off stage, kind of hobbling, was, "Sure." I don't know where it came from, and I couldn't say any words except for this weird came out kind of like a weird surfer. I have no idea.
It was someplace between a curse word and maybe an expression of, oh my gosh.
I don't even know, but there are several people to this day that will never, ever let me live it down.
Okay, so she wins right here.
Yes, I will give her that completely.
That's definitely better. So let me ask you, I know there's an adrenaline rush and you feel good, and particularly if you get picked and all that. Can you think of a time during the whole process where you just felt, man, this feels good, or this was really good? I mean, a real specific moment as opposed to you won. Was there a time where you just went, wow, I really did well, or this just really is rewarding?
I think for me, every single year, and this will be my third time competing for Miss Indiana, each year we spend an afternoon at the oncology floor at Riley's Children's Hospital. And just to stand there in a room with a bunch of children who, they look at you, they don't care what's here. They have no...
Do you dress like this for it?
I don't.
Okay,
I usually go in shorts and something fun where you can run around and play with the kids. I absolutely love it. But to them, you are their princess. You are their Cinderella. You are their Miss Indiana, Miss America, whatever they have that they're imagining in their head.
You're a celebrity.
And to stand there and to spend time with them, that is rewarding. That's where you feel, you know what, it's so humbling. Because regardless of what's going on, no matter how the week goes, no matter what else is going on, you get to see how someone is just so excited to see you in that face, and to see, wow, look at what these kids are going through. How blessed am I, and how blessed am I even more that they're looking up at you and they just want to give you a hug.
Wow,
that's so rewarding.
That's got to be great. So how about you? Just a rewarding
like Katie
moment.
said, that's so rewarding. And I think that another thing from these pageants is friends. Like I said before, you can go in there and you can give it 110%, and you might not walk out with a title, but you're going to walk out with a lifetime of friendships. You're going to have girls that are going to be in your wedding later on. They're going to be best friends with you when you become a parent, all these different things. And I think that it's so rewarding walking out knowing that everyone in that room knows who you truly are as a person. And I think we all love each other for that. So you go in there and you're yourself, and it's just amazing to walk out and be confident, because not a lot of girls our age are confident in themselves, and these pageants make us confident, make us us. And I think that's just amazing to walk out with that.
So let me go to the downside of this. I know there's got to be people who look at you or see you and go, why are you doing this? This is the stupidest thing in the world. You girls doing this stuff is just demeaning to women, whatever, all that whole perception. Can you talk about a time that has occurred to you and how that felt and how you dealt with it?
I think a lot of times for the Miss program, unlike the teens, they do a fitness and activewear portion. For us, we compete in what's called lifestyle and fitness. But a lot of times that's just nonchalantly labeled as the swimsuit competition. And I know a lot of times women will specifically say, why do you do that? Why do you subject yourself to parading around on stage in a two-piece bikini? Why would you do that? Like, you're just exploiting your body. But I think it's important to hone in on really what it's called. It's called lifestyle and fitness. And I love the fact that with this program that I have learned how to take care of myself as a woman, how to eat healthy, how to exercise. I've taken the time to construct myself my own diet plan, an exercise plan, something that's built to last. Yes, you can go ahead and do a crash diet if you want. Yes, you can go ahead and say, I'm not going to eat. Or you can find all of these other ways that you can try to make yourself fit or whatever that may be for that moment on stage. But if you really are looking at what the Miss America program's targeting, it's about creating that well-rounded girl and that individual. And for me, when I'm standing up there, I'm smiling because I know that I feel the healthiest and the best that I've ever felt, and I'm proud to show it.
That's a good answer. How about you? Just, a reaction to when you've had that real negative person come at you.
I think as teens, we're all in high school, there's a lot of bullying going on. So being a pageant girl, that takes a lot of effort to walk into a school and for everyone to know what you're doing. And some people envy that. And I have been through that process in high school. My freshman and sophomore year was really rough for me, being the new pretty girl who came from a class of 28 kids out of 8th grade to a class of 1,100. So I think I had that experience my freshman and sophomore year, and I can say through my organization that I created, it has pulled me out of that dark place. It has made me a better person and a more strivable person to help other people in the exact same position. And I feel that other pageant girls might be put in that position a lot of the time in my age. So I feel like my organization is there to help them.
How do you specifically deal with that when somebody right to your face just is really negative? I mean, do you try to defend, explain? Do you have a good comeback line? I mean, if somebody's just kind of almost doing that bullying thing to you.
My comeback line is, it's what I love, and it's what I love to do, and that's what I'm going to do. Your opinion is your opinion, and mine is what I love to do. So I'm going to do what I think is best for me, and this is what it is.
I usually ask them if they'd want to maybe sit down and learn more, or just talk about really what goes on behind it. I think once you kind of subject yourself to really understanding what goes on behind the scenes and how long the prep is and what goes into it and how passionate these girls are and how well-rounded we are, I think it slowly starts to turn and change your perspective. But there has to be open-mindedness on both ends for someone to want to listen, and also for someone that you yourself is open to saying, hey, no, let me tell you what this is about. Really, there's so much more than what may appear on the surface.
Have you ever had a creepy judge? You don't have to name them, but I mean, does it ever have?
I've had one.
Like when you look and go, that's really creepy.
I've had one hand me a banana before and go, ring, 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 ring. It's ringing. It's for you. And you're just supposed to talk. Like I was talking into a banana, and it was in an interview. I didn't know how to take that. I didn't know he just magically had a banana to pull out and to hand me and want me to pretend like I'm talking to a piece of fruit.
That's a little interesting.
So he will always stick out in my head.
How about, besides the banana guy?
I've never had someone do that in all of my interviews. I don't even know. I can't think of it.
You ever had it like, this is kind of creepy or anything?
No.
Wow. Well, you haven't been in it long enough, evidently.
I know. She has a couple years on me.
I don't know. There you go. Another one of those weird moments.
Until you get really old, like Katelyn. See,
no, she's not old.
So she'll get there. So what do you tell, is there advice that you would give to young women, girls particularly, if they what do girls need to hear from you today?
I think the number one message is that personality ends where comparison begins. So the minute that you start comparing yourself immediately to anyone else and start to think that what you have and the gifts that you have are inferior, it's the minute that you stop succeeding, you stop being you stop having that confidence and growing. I think with the media today, it is so hard for women, regardless. You can look at someone who is in a high position of political power, someone who is really prevalent in the media doing all those things, or you can look at some of the other people who might not be good role models. But it's so hard, the pressure as a woman, when you grow up as a teenager, as you've heard from Bailey, to just try to find yourself and to stay true to who you are and really be confident and say that you're worth it.
So what would you say to that young girl who walks up to you and
I second all of that. Just be yourself, be you. Don't let anybody else define who you are, because if you let them, like Katie said, it just takes you over. And if you're that confident girl who can go out there, even if you're not confident, be you. Don't let anybody label you, tell you what you need to be. You do you. And that will take you so far in life.
it sounds like you guys you do have that poise, you do have that confidence.
Thank you.
And I can just see it in you. I can see that you will be great successes in your career. So I look forward to following that and kind of figuring out what you're going to do down the road. So do you plan on winning the next competition?
I always say that it is kind of divided into thirds. So there's a third that is God's plan. There is a third that's just kind of the circumstances and how the week plays out, and you give it your best. And the last third is what I can do to prepare myself, what I have that I can do to make sure that I'm in control. That's practicing my talent, making sure I have everything where it needs to go. So I know I got that.
So you got that third.
So
Right?
the rest
you
is
got
just
two
to
thirds.
see what God's plan is, but I would be beyond blessed if that came.
So you win in the next competition?
It would be an amazing opportunity. I have worked so hard. I've done so many things to prepare. And like Katie said, you can only go out there and do what you have to do. And it's kind of how the week plays out, and it's God's plan for you. And I honestly believe that whatever is meant to be will be.
Okay. Well, thank you both for being on the show. It's been very delightful, and you guys are very
Oh, thank you
enthusiastic
so
guests.
much.
Thanks for being here. Years ago, I was shopping for a window air conditioner. It was an extremely hot summer in Chicago, and I'd been roasting for several days. Being overheated, I decided it was time to buy the machine that would cool me down. Arriving at the appliance store, there were dozens of customers and an ample supply of commissioned sales personnel. While I was awaiting my turn, I observed an interesting occurrence. A man walked into the store, obviously a potential customer. He was short, rather scruffy, unkempt hair, fairly dirty from working, probably a little sweaty from the heat, and he was Latino. Watching the sales team, I noticed a few snickers from the seasoned group who turned and urged the new guy, the young salesperson, to go and wait on him. There was a bit more chuckling as the green recruit reluctantly went forward to a perceived waste of his time. After a short chat, the customer quickly pointed to half a dozen window air conditioners and then withdrew a large wad of cash from his jean pocket. He peeled off several $100s and paid for his purchases. The young man turned, held the cash high in his hand, and smiled at the astounded group of sales staff that had made a serious blunder. They had made an assumption, a series of incorrect judgments. No one was that rough-looking, and Latino would surely have money to spend. If he did, it wouldn't be much. Why devote time to a low or no commission sale? Give it to the newbie and let him waste his time. They had looked at the cover of the book and judged that it was not worthy of a read. People do this all the time. We see a person, and based on what they look like, we create all kinds of assumptions. This concept does not just apply to people who wear mismatched clothing, have an untrimmed beard, speak broken English, or may have an odor we find off-putting. It applies to the well-dressed, good-looking, manicured, jewelry-adorned, blonde, sport car driving person who we may decide is stuck up, selfish, arrogant, spacey, rich, or privileged. In both sets of circumstances, we have perhaps drawn the wrong conclusion. Next time you see that worn-out, ragged book with the unappealing cover, or that publication freshly printed with a beautiful design on the outside, remember, there may be an incredible or surprising story inside. Thanks for watching our show. Have we enlightened you or made you more aware of what is going on in our communities? Your reactions and thoughts would be interesting to hear. You can send them to our email address, which is listed on your screen. If you have not taken a look at our website, you should. There is so much to see. Go to www.lakeshorepublicmedia.org. From the website, you can watch past Lakeshore Focus episodes. Click on the TV tab, scroll down alphabetically until you see Lakeshore Focus. Another click and you can see a list of previously aired shows. Join us next week for another Lakeshore Focus. Until then, I'm Keith Kirkpatrick saying, make a positive difference in our world today.